Hey everyone, my friends call me Mitch Guyver because I like to invent things. So I just wanted to show you my soundproof blender invention here. Um, I read somewhere in Scientific American there was an article about everyday noises, household noises causing hearing loss, and we love this Oster blender, but it's more it makes more noise than I would say a skill saw. So it's like using a power tool every day without hearing protection, and it's really annoying. So I thought, what can I do to make it more soundproof? And I spent a lot of time thinking about the airflow, and it has a fan and it moves a lot of air through the electric motor. But as it turns out, I decided to enclose the whole thing and not really let it have a lot of airflow, and it seems to do just fine. It doesn't get hot or anything. We only do one cycle at a time. If we were running it nonstop, it would probably be a problem. So anyway, I built this box, this pyramid, I guess, out of 1/4-inch ABS plastic, and I got it at TAP Plastics, TAP. And inside of here is an Oster blender. I was going to make it so this comes right off, but it just turned out that wasn't really practical for what I'm trying to do. And then here's the Oster blender. This is just the cheap foam called Stuff, Great Stuff at Home Depot. And I could get the blender out pretty easily with just some minor cutting of this foam. It's not really super locked in there. One thing I tried to do, I had in the past made a soundproof box out of 1-pound lead sheet metal, and so I did coat this or encase it in lead, but it really didn't help much. I just thought, well, since I bought it, I'll go ahead and use it. It kind of helped keep the foam away from the blender, so the blender's encased in lead, and then I sprayed the foam just around the bottom and the top. So the airflow comes out here and it comes in here, and normally it would come through the sides. And so I was going to try to have like a muffler on the back of it, and I even built this, and it turned out a lot of sound would still come out of there, pretty bad, and it didn't really get that much airflow the way I had designed it. So I just thought, well, I'm just going to try it with just a continuous loop. These rubber mats help a fair amount. The ABS enclosure helps quite a lot to enclose the sound. That's probably the big thing. And then inside here's the control panel, and I was going to cut a little window shaped like the control panel, but I was worried a lot of sound would come out of there, and I think it would. So I bought these plastic rivets at Lowe's Hardware. They're Hillman. You can see the description there if you're interested. 1/4-inch. And then I bought these little springs at Lowe's Hardware, 5/16 by 1.5 by 0.020, and I kind of had to mess with them a little to get them less. And here's the inner pin of. So the way these rivets are supposed to work is you drill a hole, you shove them in, you push this in, and then they won't come out. But the way I'm using them as buttons to push the buttons inside without letting any sound out. So I had to play with them a little bit to get this pin to flow more freely because it was really stiff. I drilled it out a tiny bit and then kind of smoothed this off. And then I put these springs in there. I cut them in thirds basically, and the springs return the buttons back out when you push them, and it works pretty good. Okay, so we've got a blender enclosed in a pyramid made out of 1/4-inch ABS plastic. The good thing about ABS is you can use regular plumbing ABS glue, and it will hold together nicely. These things, I don't know what to tell you. These are from a data center and for a server in a rack, and I can't show you very well, but I cut grooves in the ABS and it all just slides together, and it was really, really cool. you could probably find some kind of extrusion, a corner piece extrusion that you could do something like this. I really think it helps the look to have those corners instead of just ABS plastic. Another thing you could do if you were really good with a saw is cut angles, just the correct angles, and put corner ABS pieces in there. That would, I'm not quite good enough. And I will warn you, this ABS plastic on a table saw was kind of scary. It just, yeah, it sort of like makes a lot of little banging sounds and kind of sticks to the blade, and but you know, it kind of works, but just be really careful. Don't cut any really small pieces for sure. Then I did this, I tried to do this with a reciprocating saw, and it melts the plastic, and it just was a big mess. So maybe there's a better way to cut ABS plastic that I don't know about. Anyway, I got it made and put together, and it's all good. And then I noticed it didn't really help that as much as I'd hoped with the sound deadening. The initial wasn't that much good at all, and then with the foam added, it helped quite a lot, but it was still probably only about 70% reduction at best of the overall noise. I got an app on my phone after I finished it, so it's kind of too late to give you the before and after numbers, but I trust me that, you know, blenders are, most of them are pretty dang loud. So all right, so then we've got this guy in here, we've got some foam, it's about 70% quieter, and I hadn't finished this top piece. I finished the top piece, that helped a little bit more, but there's still a gap, and it still wasn't that great. It was a big improvement, but not that great. So then I started playing with these rubber mats, and before I was setting it on a porous, I don't have it with me right now, but a porous rubber mat that air can flow through, and I thought that was important. Problem with that is a lot of the sound was getting out from underneath it and making a lot of noise. And yeah, at that point I was only probably got about a 50% reduction, and then I did the rubber mats, and that got it down to about the 70, and put this on maybe another 5 at best percent reduction, but still, you know, relatively loud. And yeah, so I guess this is like where the air comes out of the blender, and then it just goes right back in. And then this is the control panel area, and I kind of just, it can get a tiny bit of airflow in there if it needs it, but for how long I'm running it, it really, I checked it out, it does not get hot in there at all in the time frame I run it. So I think this is okay. If you were going to run your blender more, you might make some stuff out of aluminum to get the heat out of the way, but I don't know if that would hurt the soundproofing. The rubber's probably better. All right, so now here's the final demo here, and then fortunately I can't give you a before and after, but it's crazy quiet. You can talk. Oh yeah, and so the final thing that is super amazing, this thing, I got more mileage and excitement out of this thing than anything else, because the amount of improvement I got was amazing. I got this stuff at Tap Plastic. It's for making molds, is its main purpose. It's a silicone putty, and you work with it just like you would with modeling clay. You know, you can shape it, but you only have about maybe 10 minutes of time before it starts to set up, so you got to be quick. So I made a snake, I made a donut, wrapped it around. I was going to make it so it could come off easily, but then I kept it kind of a little fused together in back. So now I'm realizing it's so much easier just to leave it on. I want to show you the bottom, but then the water will spill. So I'll show you the bottom in a second. All right, so it nests on here really nicely because I smushed it all in there. So this, I got this at Tap Plastics. I can't tell you what it's called, but it's a mold making silicone putty, and they can tell you what it is. All right, so then you got to remember which buttons do what. Of course, this is on, and then this is the high setting right here. This is what we use to make smoothies with every day, because it varies, does some variable speeds. but we'll just put it on high for maximum noise. And so, I mean, the fact that I can still talk and not have my ears in agony. It's actually quieter with our veggie shake in there. The foaminess of it, I think, dampens the sound for sure more than water does. So this is like the worst case scenario. And yeah, I guess I could show you kind of how much this helps by just running it without the lid. You can hear that's a lot louder. This helped a ton. I was really excited. And then it also seals it really airtight, and then it keeps overflowing from getting down in here and making a mess. It's actually an improvement over the original design because, you know, when it overflowed before, I'd have to clean all this out, and now it just goes right out here where it's easier to clean up. Doesn't get into the control panel. So yeah, there's my Soundproof Oster blender, $69. And I really love, I don't have the model handy, but I really love this $69 Oster blender. It makes amazing smoothies. It's fantastic. It's just loud. Maybe if that says something about the model on here. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed, and good luck making your blender soundproof. There's probably a lot cheaper, and I mean, this was not expensive, but I put a lot of time into it. You could probably do something a lot simpler with the same basic idea, doing some enclosing, do some sealing, don't let any gaps, no air gaps. Enclosing, maybe cut out for the control panel and use this putty to seal around the edge. And I'm not sure how well that would work, but I'm guessing it would work close to as good as this, but I still think some sound would come out through there. All right, everybody, good luck.